Hey, how you doing? Dennis here, and today we're going to be checking out using auto layout to make responsive designs. Let's get started. So let's start with the frame tool. We'll make this frame 280 by 300. We're going to round the corners to 20, and we're going to drop in an image. Now let's add some text. Visitor center. I'm using SF Pro text. I'm going to make this bold. 20 by 120% line spacing. Drop in some other text. Golden Gate Bridge. And on this, I'm going to change it back to regular and reduce it down to 16. Now I'm going to select those. I'm going to apply an auto layout. I'm going to set the space between to 5, and I'm going to put padding around the whole thing at 16. Let's give it a fill. Fill it with 60% opacity. Now let's select the text and let's make that black. And let's drop that into our main frame. Extend it out to the edge. Now we're going to add an effect, background blur, at 10. Now we're going to set the constraints on this one. We're going to set it to the bottom, and we're going to scale left to right. Now we're going to grab our image inside the frame and we're going to scale that both directions. And let's see how that works. Nice. Now we're going to duplicate and we're going to swap out our image. Let's recenter that. And let's change the text here to the view. Let's do the rest. Now select all your cards, apply an auto layout. We're going to set them to wrap, 40 pixels between and 40 between top to bottom. Now let's create our header and footer. Starting with the text tool, let's input our text, select them both, auto layout, let's put 10 between, and let's put padding at the bottom at 20. Let's give it a fill, and let's put a border just on the bottom. Let's color that gray. Now let's grab our text and make it really dark gray. And let's label that header. Text tool again. Let's make it 20. We're going to wrap that in an auto layout. Let's put 20 on the sides, 30 at the top and bottom. And let's fill it with 4s. Let's label that footer. And then we'll add that to our design. Let's label this auto layout frame cards. We already have a wrap with fixed width cards. Let's add our header and footer. Let's move the header to the top, footer down below. Do a select all, auto layout. Let's put 80 between, 20 padding at the top and bottom, left and right, and give it a fill. Let's select all the inside frames and set them to fill container. And let's see what we get. Okay, there's a couple things not working quite right. We want our text to wrap, so let's set it to fill container. And then we want to set a minimum width of 320 and a maximum width of 1920 for the outer container. And let's try it again. Nice. So this is our fixed width container responsive layout. Now using the same layout, we're going to grab all of our cards and we're going to change them from fixed to fill container. And let's test that. Now everything is compressing a little too much and nothing is wrapping anymore. It's not exactly what we're looking for. So let's select the cards again and set their minimum width to 280. Now they should wrap and expand to fill the space below. Nice. So that's our fill container option. Now that last frame is very large and wide and cropping the photo kind of funny, so we don't want it that wide. So I'm going to set a maximum width of 500 on all the cards. That way whenever it wraps, it'll be constrained to 500 pixels. Nice. Let's talk about auto layout for a moment. So my frame here, if I actually apply an auto layout to it, it changes the frame property to an auto layout frame. I don't want that. I want to actually wrap my original frame in another auto layout. So I'm going to grab two of my frames, put them in an auto layout, duplicate them, and then I'm going to delete the ones I don't want. This will wrap my original frame in an auto layout frame. Now I can apply padding to that auto layout. I can put a background color on it separately from the original frame. Moving on, let's start with a new frame. Let's call it Spacer. Let's color it bright red. Make it a component. We'll use that in a moment. Let's go into here. And let's wrap all of our original frames in auto layout frames, like I showed you before. Let's give it some padding at the bottom of 40 and do it to the rest. Now select all your auto layout wrapped cards. We're going to set their minimum width to 280 because we want that property on the auto layout frame. We created the footer using auto layout, and you can wrap an auto layout frame in another auto layout frame. Since we don't want the footer any taller, select the footer, apply auto layout to the footer again. Let's label it footer wrapper. Then let's put 40 pixels of padding at the top to push the footer down. Let's set our overall space between to 0. Grab our center frame and put 80 pixels of padding at the top. Now we're going to drag out an instance of our component. I'm going to cut it and I'm going to paste it inside this middle frame here. I'm going to set it to fill container and I'm going to give it a minimum width of 280 just like the other frames, and then I'm going to duplicate it 5 times. This is what creates our grid. Now I've got a little too much spacing between those because I don't want my footer to get pushed down so far. So I'm going to take this 40, set it to 0. Now you'll see all those extra frames at the bottom are right up next to each other, making one red block. Now I'm going to grab each one of these again, and I'm going to set their height to 0.1. And I'm going to grab my component, remove its fill, which will make it invisible. And there you have it, a responsive design where all the cards are scaling at the same proportion. Excellent. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this useful and can use it in your future projects. If so, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. I really appreciate it. I'll see you for more lessons real soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.